What do Mickey Mantle, John F. Kennedy, the Beatles, Johnny Unitas, Batman, and the astronauts all have in common? Answer: their likenesses all adorned Topps trading cards in the 1960s. In this episode, we'll take a peek at two sets of vintage astronaut trading cards that reveal the pioneering astronauts of the 1960s as pop cultural icons of their time. Are you ready to take a look? Here we go! Hello collectors and space fans, I'm a beardless Jim Frangione and welcome back to another installment of Taking Up Space, the place where space history lives and where every artifact tells a story, where we seek to preserve vintage artifacts, reveal their history, and hopefully inspire some of you in the next generation of space explorers to take on interests in studies relating to science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. If you're as passionate as I am about the history of spaceflight or the preservation of space-age history, be sure to click on the subscribe button and notification bell down below so that you don't miss out on a single episode. Today we're going to take a look at two sets of vintage trading cards related to the American space program of the 1960s. The 1963 Topps Astronaut series that focused on Project Mercury, and also by Topps the 1969 Man on the Moon series. While nowhere near as fancy as space-flown artifacts or something that came out of NASA, these consumer-grade products that included a stick of gum and came at a cost of just 5 and 10 cents a pack had their role to play in the space program of the 1960s. And it wasn't a small role at that. They helped place the space race firmly into the everyday psyche of America's youth, and more importantly, by virtue of that, their tax-paying parents. Contrary to popular belief, public support for the space program was mostly under 50% for pretty much all of the 1960s. To understand why, look no further than those who were footing the bill, the American taxpayer. At its peak of a massive 4.5% of the national budget in the early 1960s, it was routinely viewed as needing to be cut. That's not to say that folks didn't think that the idea of space exploration was terrific. It was just a question of the American taxpayer thinking it was worth it to pay for it. Generally, a majority did not, but a president and a Congress at the time saw it through the other side of the looking glass. The implications for national prestige, technology advancement, industry, and public confidence in our national defense were not only worth it, they were necessary. Especially after a whole bunch of public relations nightmares handed to us care of the Soviet Union, with Sputnik, Yuri Gagarin, among other geopolitical setbacks for the US at the time. Tensions in Berlin and Cuba come to mind. Public relations. A little later on, I'll offer a book recommendation as a source for greater learning on the public relations and marketing angles related to the space program. But for now, I want to focus on these cards and how at 5 cents and 10 cents a pack, they were a part of a much bigger PR machine. So effective was that machine that you simply can't mention the space race today without products like Life magazine, Tang, toys, houseware, TV shows, and yes, even these trading cards coming to mind. It was a truly multimedia endeavor. If you're of a certain age and lived this firsthand, chances are you owned, used, and remember any number of these products. And that nostalgia you feel right now, well, that's not an accident either. That's how well crafted those campaigns were in their day. The 1963 Topps Astronaut series focused solely on Project Mercury and the first 3 flights of Alan Shepard, Gus Grissom, and John Glenn. The set consists of 55 color cards depicting the original 7 astronauts in all phases of their training, and even some brief biographical information on the front of the cards. They are incredibly rich in that Technicolor feel that they have, and they just reek of early 1960s cool. The card backs come in 2 varieties. Those with 3D art on the back that could be viewed through tiny sets of 3D glasses provided with each pack. That's the set I have here. Alternately, there was what is known as the popsicle back version. While nowhere near as exciting as the 3D backs, these are tougher to find today. Loose cards can be found for as little as a few dollars each, but even in ungraded condition, complete sets of these cards go for hundreds of dollars. Graded sets for those serious card collectors out there can reach into several thousands of dollars to find them in mint condition. And finding them in mint condition, that's not an altogether easy task. The 1969 Topps Man on the Moon cards focused solely on Project Apollo, and these saw 2 releases, a 55 card series released just prior to Apollo 11, and a 99 card set that was re-released in 1970 containing additional cards with images from the moon landing. The set here is of the 55 card variety, and they are numbered 1 to 55 on the back, followed by a letter A or B to denote which of the 2 puzzles the cards form. An Apollo 11 crew photo or a photo of the Apollo 11 command service module in lunar orbit. The 99 cards in the 1970 re-release are simply numbered 1 through 99, and this is the easiest way for one to determine the difference in the event they are purchasing or building a set of their own. While the color on these cards is nowhere as vibrant as the 1963 astronaut series, they do have a look and feel that is very evocative of 1969. They are definitely of a time and a place. And while more widely available and certainly less expensive than their 1963 counterparts, these can get a little pricey, with ungraded completed sets commanding a couple of $100 and graded quality sets moving on up from there towards the 4-digit territory as well when they come in mint condition. But the Topps Men on the Moon series are certainly more readily found and readily accessible for the casual collector. I hope you've enjoyed seeing these vintage 1960s trading cards and learning a little bit about how they contributed to placing the astronauts and the space program in the collective consciousness of the American public, especially the youth of that generation. I know I've enjoyed opening these albums again and sharing these eye-catching relics with you. If you want to go a little further than trading cards, Tang, and Life magazine to learn more about how NASA and those artful ad agencies of the 1960s worked to market the Apollo program, I would highly recommend Marketing the Moon, The Selling of the Apollo Lunar Program by David Meerman Scott and Richard Jurek. Not only does it tell the story of the public relations campaigns in a fascinating way, it's got a foreword by astronaut Gene Cernan, and the photos and the illustrations contained in it are a veritable feast for the eyes if you love that mid-20th century aesthetic as much as I do. And that's it for today, folks. Thanks a million for tuning into this channel. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up down below and feel free to let me know your thoughts by dropping me an email at jim.takinupspace@gmail.com. Until next time, collectors and space fans, keep your head held high and keep your eyes on the stars.
3, 2, 1, ignition. Fire away, Houston. Vector grid.